families, I'd like to encourage you to do one more thing, and that is to bow the head and bend the knee in the days that remain.
Wait, bow the head, bend the knee. Is he telling us to get on our knees and suck dick for Trump? I mean, it really kind of seems like it. I mean, I'm not that dedicated.
Pray for our country.
What's up, heathens? How you guys doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. I was about to say pretty all right. That didn't make any sense. We're going to be getting into Mike Pence tonight, talking about Johnson Amendment. I don't know if you guys know what the Johnson Amendment is, but the Johnson Amendment is something that they want to revoke. And it's about how basically you can't support one candidate or another from the pulpit. And so I think that he doesn't know that. But here's Mike Pence, and he's got a message. Now, this particular video was shared out by Fox News pundits. Basically, this was played to churches nationwide recently.
I honor this year to serve as the Republican nominee for Vice President of the United States with my running mate, Donald Trump. I'm grateful to be able to join you, if only by videotape, but I'm not.
Whoa, hold on. Videotape? Are we in the 90s or some shit here? Like, who's putting this on videotape and playing it for church? Like, our church is so behind in technology that we're having to resort to videotapes? Who even owns a VHS? Fucking churches do, of course.
I'm not sure how they introduce me. The introduction I prefer is pretty short. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican.
I thought he was going to say stupid. I kind of did.
In that order. And really, it's as a fellow believer that I'm particularly honored to be able to address you today. I know every one of us has our own story about how we came to faith. For me, I was raised in a family where faith was important.
Oh, okay. So you were indoctrinated at a very young age to only know this particular religion. Might you say that if you were born in India, you would have been a different religion? Who knows? Not to say that that is an argument against the validity of it. I'm just saying that if you were born somewhere else, you might be a different flavor of religious person.
Church on Sunday, grace before dinner. But my faith became my own when I made a personal decision to trust Jesus Christ.
Was it really that personal of a decision to trust Jesus, or were you told that you needed to? I don't know. I grew up in the South. He grew up in where the fuck ever. In the South, you know, you're not really given a choice. Like, you don't really make that choice. I mean, just one day, you're just like, oh, yeah, fuck, I devote my life to Christ, of course. That sounds fucking normal as shit. And it's really not.
During the spring of my freshman year in college. That night, my heart was literally broken wide. With gratitude and with joy. When I came...
Okay, just for reference, his heart did not literally break open wide. He's talking of a figurative breaking open wide. If you were thinking something along the lines of Aliens, you know, when the chest burster kind of deal. I mean, that's what I think of, like a little Christ popping out of the chest. And you're like, I died for you, kind of thing. That's at least what I thought about.
I came to realize that what happened on the cross, in some small measure, actually happened for me.
There's actually no evidence to suggest that he was actually crucified on the cross, just saying. But yeah, he wants to believe that. That's fine. Don't push that shit on others.
And I know all of you in the room share that same passion and that same sense of gratitude for what was done on our behalf. Years later, my faith has been tested, relied on more times than I could possibly count. All I know for sure today is I need him more than ever. And he's really the center of my life and the center of my family's life.
Yeah, I have to say, that is kind of a sad thing. For you to make Jesus the center of your life, you're really kind of, you know, you're forsaking your own life for something that you don't even know if even existed. To put Jesus first in your life, I feel you're really missing out on everything that life can give you by doing that. I'm not sitting here trying to make you feel like shit because you do, but I'm just saying that I think that if you live for yourself rather than a dead Jew on a stick, I think you might be a little bit better off in life.
You know, God's love really eclipses our failings, and as always, He's been a source of renewal and strengthening for this nation and for...
I wonder why. Could it possibly fucking be because mythologically that is exactly what Jesus was meant to be? He's a source of renewal. Holy fuck, no shit. He rose after 3 days. Magically, I might add.
People of faith throughout our history. In these troubled times, I believe we stand at a turning point. When those who cherish faith, those who cherish freedom, those who cherish the sanctity of life and all the liberties enshrined in our Constitution should step forward and heed the call to action.
Heed the call to action. You best get out there and protest them abortion sites too. You know, I hate them How dare women think that they have the rights to their own bodies? We all know that only if you have a dick can you legislate the womb of a woman.
I joined Donald Trump on the Republican ticket because I believe he has the right leadership and the right vision to make America great again.
No, he doesn't. I'll just say this right now. I'm very avidly anti-Trump Pence, okay? And no, he doesn't have a sound plan. He barely has a plan. In case you guys don't know, he's already backed out on a number of different things. Like, for one thing, he chopped Obamacare in half. He's keeping half of it. So it's not really a repeal and replace. It's more or less like revision, which is what everybody fucking said to begin with. Also, he's not putting Hillary in jail. He went back on that as well. So I think about the only things that he's really capable of doing is reversing all of the executive orders that Obama made, which includes the trans bathroom situation. So if you want to relive the summer of 2016 when we had that pointless fucking conversation all over social media, well, January 20th, whatever, we're going back to that.
President Donald Trump will appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will uphold our Constitution and the rights of the unborn.
The rights of the unborn. Let me get this straight. This guy cares more about the rights of the quote-unquote unborn that don't have social security numbers, but yet he's like, fuck the rights of these undocumented workers that are here that don't have social security numbers. Fuck them right over that goddamn big fucking wall, right? So what's the difference other than the fact that it's just another chance for you to legislate the womb of a woman? Like, I'm sure that if you could stuff a Mexican all the way inside the womb of a woman, you would protect that shit quick.
Donald Trump will also sign into law legislation that will free up the voices of faith all across this country by repealing what's come to be known as the Johnson Amendment. The Johnson Amendment's literally been on the books since the 1950s, and
it's literally, okay, I'm sounding like Leafy right now, but it has literally been on the books. You can look at it on Wikipedia, and you can look at it everywhere. It is literally just on the book. Like there's like a binder. It says Johnson Act. It's on top of the books where we keep laws in the White House. I mean, they're just all right there on like a bookshelf or a coffee table, maybe. Just saying.
It essentially threatens tax-exempt organizations and churches with losing their tax status if they speak out on important issues facing the nation from the pulpit.
No, this is where he gets it completely wrong, turned around, and is either straight up lying, or he's just not a good politician in general. What the Johnson Amendment does is it was an amendment to the revenue laws and whatnot, where it controls tax-exempt organizations. Tax-exempt organizations cannot endorse or anti-endorse, whatever the fuck that might be. It can't be for or against any one candidate in a political body. You cannot be in a church or any tax-exempt organization. That would include all the churches, atheists, American atheists, any of the tax-exempt places anywhere. You know, it includes all of them. None of them can support a candidate one way or another. But the Johnson Amendment does not restrict pastors or anybody in church from speaking about important controversial issues, like, for instance, abortion. You want to stand up in a church and talk about how abortion is murder, that's fine. You want to stand up in church and talk about how gays should be killed, that's fine. Steven Anderson does it on a regular basis. He does it so often that we're kind of questioning whether or not he sucks dick in his personal time. So, listen, you can stand up and you can say any of that shit in your church, where the fuck ever. If you're a tax-exempt organization, though, you cannot endorse or be against any one particular candidate or raise funds for a particular candidate or anything like that. That is all the Johnson Amendment does. There's no reason for it to be repealed or replaced or anything like that. Fucking retarded as shit for Pence and Trump to be sitting up there being like, we're gonna repeal the fuck out of this. Oh, really? Well, this will be the first time in like 60 goddamn years, but you go ahead. They put it in there for a reason, buddy, but all right.
Donald Trump and I are both committed to work with renewed Republican majorities in the House and the Senate to repeal the Johnson Amendment once and for all. The truth is that
once and for all? Like he said, like you say once and for all, like, oh, this is something that we've been fighting for a long time. We've been trying to get this shit through the Congress and the House of Representatives, or however the fuck our government works, because I don't know. Well, okay, he probably knows. Trump doesn't. I really don't think that he knows how government works. But it's not once and for all. Like, we haven't been fighting this at all. Like, all the things that pastors stand up in front of their congregations and spout, talking about how this is probably going to get our tax exempt taken away. No, it's fucking not. You know why? Because the IRS isn't going to do shit about the Johnson Amendment. I personally have reported a couple of pastors to it. Not shit has happened. Not one. Did you know that you don't even have to apply for tax exempt status as long as you're a church? Talk about fucking privilege. That's privileged as shit if you ask me.
Careful study of American history has shown that the strength of our nation has come from our communities of faith. Throughout our history, it's been the voices of faith that more often than not have driven our nation to a more perfect union.
Okay, no, that's bullshit. You can't just say that because we were faithful or we had more faith in the past, that is what has driven us to be a more or a stronger union. Like, I mean, atheism hasn't become mainstream until, in the mid 20th century. Okay, let's just say atheists, of course, existed before that. But as far as building up our nation and whatnot, of course, people believed in God. It was like 99% Christians here. Of course it was Christian as fuck. But you know what? The founding fathers still wrote in the Constitution specifically to build a wall between church and state, building a separation so that the church couldn't fuck with the state. You know why? Because they left goddamn England in order to get away from that shit. You think that they just want that stuff to go back? You're fucking insane if you think that.
It was the pulpits around the American founding that thundered against the tyranny of King George.
I don't know if that's true. Let's just go ahead and assume it is. Okay, I haven't researched it, but let's just go ahead and assume it's true. Of fucking course it was! You goddamn idiot. Look, during that time, you pretty much had a few places that you could meet, right? Church was one of them, and then of course you had the other ones that were British like places that you could meet. I don't know if they had like town hall centers or whatnot, but they would have been British controlled. So basically your community center was your church. There's no fucking reason to build it up like, oh, churches had this big fucking role in it. No, the only role they had in it was that it was a building that wasn't controlled by the redcoats. Like, that is your claim to fame right now. Architecture, that's your claim to fame. I have to say, there is some pretty cool looking churches, but, you could have fed, needy people with that fucking money, right?
It was the pulpits around America that spoke of the evils of slavery.
Oh, okay. So you mean the Southern churches that we're talking about how we need to keep the races separated. I wonder exactly what church did George Wallace go to when he was standing in front of the University of Alabama to keep out the Negroes from desegregating into the University of Alabama, because that's really fucking important now, isn't it? I think that it's utterly ridiculous that he paints it as like churches are so high and mighty when it comes to spreading a political message. There's a reason why the Johnson Act is on the books. There's a reason why it exists. It's to keep churches out of political funding so that we don't become a theocracy. That's the main reason.
brought an end to the scourge of slavery in America, even through a great civil conflict. And it was voices of faith and communities of faith that transformed our nation through the civil rights movement in our own lifetime.
Again, just because, like Martin Luther King Jr., he was very influential in the civil rights era. He was a pastor, a preacher, but more importantly, he was a public speaker and he was a voice for the movement. It's not like he used his preacher status in order to, go out for civil rights, okay? He did it because he was passionate about it. If you want to look on the flip side, there was also Malcolm X, who was a Muslim, who was doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, see how your argument falls flat on its face when you talk about that? There were multiple, people of other faiths and religions and all this other stuff that were around the time of the civil rights era.
And we're a better nation for it. The choice today for all of us, though, could not be more clear. I've never seen a more dramatic choice in a national election in my lifetime. I truly do believe we're come to a time for choosing. And I think it's a time in the life of our nation when people who cherish life, when people who cherish our liberties, when people who cherish the great traditions that are enshrined in our Constitution should come together and support Donald Trump and our agenda to make America great again. In these troubled times at home and abroad, challenging times for American families, I'd like to encourage you to do one more thing, and that is to bow the head and bend the knee in the days that remain.
Wait, bow the head, bend the knee. Is he telling us to get on our knees and suck dick for Trump? I mean, it really kind of seems like it. I mean, I'm not that dedicated.
Pray for our country. But as you do so, please pray as Lincoln said was his prayer. Not so much that God would be on our side, but that we would be, in his words, on God's side. Because I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that what's
in his heart of hearts. I fucking hate that phrase. Heart of hearts. What are you even talking about? Your heart of hearts. Do you have two hearts? Are you a fucking Time Lord? Can you go back in time and do shit that nobody else can? Is that why you have two hearts? What is your fucking heart of hearts? I really don't fucking know. Oh, and also, Abraham Lincoln is the main reason why the slaves are free, not fucking churches, okay? There were very few religious and moral arguments for or against the 13th Amendment, I believe is the amendment that freed the slaves. There was very little to do with churches as far as freeing the slaves, other than the fact that everybody went to church because that was fucking normal back then. Abraham Lincoln is the one that went to a bunch of people and got them to actually vote for it.
It's been true for millennia, is still true today. That if his people, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray, he'll again do as he's always done throughout the storied history of this nation. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal our land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Liberty! As long as you believe in God, you have to believe in that one fucking God, and then you have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and all that shit. As long as you're Christian, you're good. If you ain't Christian, though, you're a little fucked, okay? I'm just telling you right now, you're not going to be happy under a Trump-Pence kind of presidency. I mean, we're going to Christianize all this shit up in here. We're going to have Santa Claus and Jesus going through the malls every single fucking weekend, telling people how they're going to hell if you don't believe. And you know what? If you're not Christian, fucking don't even celebrate Christmas. I don't even care if it's an American tradition now. At least in this country it is. But, you don't even you fucking celebrate. I don't want to see any of you atheists or Jewish people or Muslims out there buying presents for people around this time of year. Fuck off with that shit. You understand me? The one thing that he did say in that I didn't really comment on was that he wants everybody to unite and support their agenda, the Trump-Pence agenda for the next 4 years. I'm going to tell you right now, fuck that shit. You don't have to unite and support their fucking agenda. Their agenda will regress us backwards in our civil progress. They want to repeal abortion, which I actually find kind of funny because they're fine with gay marriage being settled, but Roe v. Wade, fuck that shit, we're getting it overturned. And the scary thing is if the puzzle pieces land correctly, they can do it. If Trump loads up the Supreme Court with people that'll vote against Roe v. Wade, and you get somebody that's got the balls enough to challenge Roe v. Wade, then there you go. That's how you would overturn Roe v. Wade. Only a Supreme Court decision can overturn a previous Supreme Court decision. Or you can pass an amendment to the Constitution. So I don't think that is liable to happen, but I think that getting a loaded Supreme Court to vote against it is more than likely. You don't have to come together and support the Trump-Pence agenda. You need to stay vigilant and make sure that they don't turn us into a theocracy, although I will say that it's very unlikely that we will turn into a theocracy in 4 years. But, I mean, if you think about it, Trump took up being a president as a fucking hobby one day. He started campaigning for it, before he officially announced. But, I mean, just basically one day it feels like he was like, fuck, you know what? I'm going to be president. You got to wonder exactly what kind of weed was that motherfucker smoking at that point in time where he thought becoming president was a good idea. Now, he's about knee deep in shit. I'm just telling you. You can tell it on his face whenever he met with Obama. He's like, holy fuck, I did not realize this job was serious. I just thought it was a figurehead. I thought it was kind of like Queen of England. I just thought I was going to sit here and look all fancy and shit. If you stand against their agenda, definitely stand up and stand out on social media, when you're talking to people or whatnot. I'm not saying get into arguments or anything, but let your voice be heard. Tell them, well, no, I think it's kind of dumb as fuck to repeal the Johnson Amendment. That seems really fucking stupid to me. I wouldn't put it like that. I mean, obviously, I would. I mean, if somebody was like, yeah, Johnson Amendment, that trash needs to go down the toilet, I'd be like, you're kind of fucking stupid. I'm just saying. But, if you don't feel like starting an argument, definitely say it nicer. Like, well, I don't exactly agree with that opinion because of, do I really need a reason that's stupid? See, I can't even do it nice. Like, I can't. Saying I want to repeal the Johnson Amendment is just dumb as fuck to me. It really is. But anyways, I'm rambling at this point. I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. If you will, think about sharing this video if you agreed with what I've said here. I hope that you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys later.